Hey everybody, this is Jgsf1987. I'm a writer and blogger, and to see more of my writing and to keep up with what I've been up to, go to Jgsf1987.com. In this segment, first of all, I'm going to pick up where I left off previously, which was a preface. To begin with, let me just say that the recent revelation by the online publishing by WikiLeaks of the DNC, that was not exactly unexpected, and that should not come as a surprise to anybody, especially if you were from the Bernie or bust crowd, or anybody who was a Bernie Sanders supporter. Well, not only has it been confirmed that our suspicion the entire time that the DNC was in fact cheating to get the nomination over to Hillary Clinton. No, that is not a surprise, and it just pretty much confirmed what we've been saying for the past, I don't know, year and a half. Whatever. Anyway, if you want to see Bernie Sanders' reaction to it, or shall we say non-reaction to it, but he was on CNN with State of the Union's Jake Tapper, actually. When asked about it, he said pretty much that no, I'm not terribly shocked or surprised by this. It's basically confirmed what I've been saying for months. That's all it says. And it's just that it's really sad. Well, I'm first going to say one thing to Brother Bernie. I got to tell you, Bernie, you correctly stated that you have been saying this, and basically all of us have been saying this for months, that the process has been rigged. But I'm afraid that your comment of it being sad or outrageous, I'm afraid to tell you that that is a major understatement. I'm not terribly surprised about this either, nor is this a massive shock to me. Not because of the fact that I too have been saying something about this for quite some time, especially if you've been watching what I've been posting on Facebook and also on Twitter from time to time. But anyway, yeah, that's not the point. No, actually, that's not the main point that I'm trying to make. The point is, now with the cat out of the bag, right now what it's done is it's completely and totally killed the Democratic National Committee's absolute credibility with the American people and with its own base. Think of the phenomenon that was known as the Reagan Democrat. These were registered Democrats, but they didn't vote for their national party. They voted for their own. Yeah, I mean, they voted for the Democrats, into Congress, but not for the presidency. A lot of times, those people were splitting their tickets. this is what I can sort of see happening right now with Donald Trump. There's going to be a lot of people, if they're going to be voting for Democrats, they're going to be voting for them on the down ballot races, not at the top of the ticket. With the sole exception of possibly Bernie Sanders. And I know what you all are thinking. The chances of him being on the ticket are none. That he's not going to be on there at all. I'm not going to be so quick to say that. On the technicality that he hasn't exactly conceded the race yet. Now, with that aside, actually no, I would say when the Democrats start to do something, they'll realize going into the convention that right now trying to go with Hillary is basically a dead end. It's not just because Hillary has a couple of FBI investigations against her, but to all the Hillbots, don't bother. You're not going to get anywhere with them. Those people are living on another planet. And yeah, they are literally that stupid. But that aside, now the question is, what are we going to do going forward? Well, Bernie, to his credit, and I am going to say this to his credit, I know that I caught a little bit of heat, not that much heat, but a little bit of it, and I saw a lot of the grief that a lot of you burners have been giving to Bernie over the fact that he was a sellout of this, not, just from endorsing Hillary. Look, I remember saying that I'm kind of disappointed about it, but I was also bearing in mind that, wait a minute, maybe he's onto something here. Because maybe, just maybe, he's got a couple of tricks up his sleeve. And he did. What he did, and this is to his credit, he got the Democrats to open their process up and to tie most of the superdelegates' vote to the vote that their constituents made based on the proportion, in proportion to what their voters had given to the various candidates. That, in and of itself, and forcing the Democratic Party to do that, I mean, think about how he could have done that by not endorsing Hillary. That was the only way that he could get the DNC to lower its guard. Because then they understood that, okay, if we're going to unify the party, we're going to have to grant a couple, minor little concessions here and there and get him to shut up about the rest. It didn't work that way. Bernie Sanders deserves a lot of credit for doing what he did. And now you can understand why. If that is not a massive example of that, I don't know what is. Now you see, and now you understand how there was a method to Bernie's madness by endorsing Hillary. And I have to say that I know all y'all know who Robert Reich is, you know, former labor secretary under Clinton, you know, big hotshot, you know, political economist who actually teaches at UC Berkeley. Yeah, for me, he's just basically right across San Francisco Bay. But not the point. Unless you wanted to know a little bit of trivia about that, but yeah, I'm not going to get into that. The point I'm making is that when he heard about this, he took the article from WikiLeaks and wrote a scathing, I mean absolutely scathing message. Like scrawl right on Facebook. This guy is not known for making those kind of scathing remarks. He's usually pretty wonkish and tries to explain what exactly is going on, or trying to tell us, okay, but understand this, understand that. To see him do that, and he's a pretty well respected guy. I'm not saying that was the ultimate feather that broke the camel's back, or the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't think that's what it was. However, as you all well know, there's been a lot of pressure building inside the DNC to get the chair, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, either fired or get her to step aside. Those calls, Bernie Sanders brought that up about, I don't know, like 3 months ago, 2-3 months ago. I'll have to look through his I'll have to either look through his Twitter feed or his YouTube channel, you know, for the campaign. But I know offhand that he did say that the DNC chair needed to go, and he wasn't wrong. And so now to see his reaction to the way he did, yeah, I mean, no one should be surprised by that. You shouldn't be surprised by it. You knew this. I knew this. Bernie knew this, as did his surrogates, and all of us who were his supporters. And I gotta tell you one thing. Donald Trump, it wasn't lost on him either. Look, Donald Trump may be campaigning as if he's the world's biggest buffoon. That's just his shtick. Truth be told, he's actually a lot smarter than that. Donald Trump, he may sound like an idiot, but don't underestimate him. He's actually a fairly bright guy. I don't usually have very kind words to say about the Republicans. I know, for me it's a little weird to say this, but it is what it is. I mean, think about it. George W. Dumbest guy in the world, at least from our own vantage point. Truth be told, he's a lot smarter. You don't know. It's actually turned out that he's actually, or let me put it to you this way. I read from within a Bushism's book that, yeah, you can laugh at all the stupid things he said over the past, you know, X amount of years or something. But be warned. He's less stupid than everyone thinks. And that actually proved to be correct. Anyhow, so yeah, what's this going to do for Hillary moving forward? That remains to be seen. As I said before, I think the Democratic National Committee, after getting this kind of scandal being ratted out this way, they're going to try to sweep it under the rug. It's not going to go. Because once Bernie starts talking tomorrow night, they are going to know one thing. They are a bunch of dead ducks. And that they, because of the mounting pressure now for them to basically throw Hillary aside, and there's going to be mounting pressure starting tomorrow. I think that because of the mounting pressure and basically because of all the shenanigans that happened during the campaign season, if they want any credibility, they are not going to nominate Hillary Clinton. If they do that, they have just shot their credibility. So, I'm also going to say this too. I also took to Facebook and I wrote a few things. A couple of which I'm not proud that I did. And I'm not one to mince words here. What saddens me more than anything is that Donald Trump is going to be basically the guy we need to turn to get us back on track. Look, is Donald Trump wrong about everything in terms of social policy and about putting up on, this night? Yeah, he is. Now, I know all you're going to ask me, why would I vote for him if he's the complete antithesis of what I value, of what my values are? The reason is very simple. The people that are supposed to be, who share my values or purportedly shared my values, have turned out to be a bunch of liars. Now, I know what you're going to say. The thing with politicians is that they're all liars. Well, maybe that's why there's that oxymoron, an honest politician. But apparently there is such a thing as an honest politician. And oh gee, his name is Bernie Sanders. I mean, look, I'm not going to go rambling on and on about how he's much better than Hillary. That's not the point of the video. You all know how much better he is than that militaristic witch, Hillary Clinton. Y'all know that. I don't need to tell you. No one else needs to tell you, especially if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter. I don't have to tell you that he beats Donald Trump by over 10 points. You know this. The fact that I did is, okay, well, I said what I said, and so that's that. Anyway, going back to the whole thing with Donald Trump and why I would be voting if someone only gave me the choices between between him and Hillary Clinton, why I would vote for Trump in a heartbeat? I'll be very happy to outline it right now. The reason I would vote for Trump, despite all of his bigotry, is the fact that yeah, it will give the Republicans united government, And so from that, we're going to have a hard time trying to dig ourselves out of it. Look, we're in a pretty big hole as it is right now. And mostly it is thanks to a number of Republicans, Nixon, Reagan, the Bushes, and not really helped by Bill, trying to get, and didn't go far enough with Obama. But God knows at least those two tried to do something about it. Okay, so to answer the point that we're already in a big shithole as it is, the fact is that Donald Trump and the Republicans, when they have united government, let me ask you something. When they've had united government, how competent were they? I'm asking you this straight from when George W. Bush was president. How competent were they? Answer? None. Those pinheads are completely incompetent. They don't govern. And they couldn't, even if they tried. So that's why I figure, okay, since they say they know how to run the government a lot better than us stupid Democrats, okay, give them full control of it, and then watch them prove our point that they're too incompetent to govern. So, what happens in 2018? The fact is that Donald Trump, especially with the more, shall we say, outlandish planks of the Republicans' national platform that he's going to try to enact, or saying that he will do by himself, if he's saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, look, promising A, B, C, and D will be done, you know he's running a con job. You know that unless, I mean, it's important to state what your priorities are, which is what Bernie Sanders did, or basically outlined what the nation's priorities are from where he saw it. That's all he did. He wasn't making any promises. He was basically saying, look, here's what's going on with us. Here's something that we can do. We need to prioritize these, and we need to build upon them. And that resonated with everybody because he wasn't promising anything. He was basically, it was a call to action. Now with Donald, it's easy enough to understand that, okay, who is he going to have elected alongside him going into Congress? He can't get anything enacted, or he can't get anything put into place without some cooperation from Congress. Let me put it to you very simply. The whole thing of where he says that he's going to ban Muslims from coming in, he's going to ban them. You know, that he's going to build a wall at the border with Mexico, you know, to keep out immigrants, to this and that. Look, the president doesn't do that by himself. He waits for Congress to appropriate the funds to do it. Because Congress is also a co-equal branch of government, this is going to be an important check on Donald Trump. And so what's going to happen the first 2 years he's in office with a Republican Congress? Nothing. You'll be lucky, and I'm saying this and I'm being very generous here. he'll be lucky if he can get about 10% of his outlandish platform enacted. Because I can tell you right now, well, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Paul Ryan, and the Majority Leader, or the Republicans' floor leader in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, are not terribly enthusiastic about getting some of those measures enacted. They know they're not stupid. I'm not saying Donald is stupid. He's not that stupid either. The policy that he's trying to enact is completely and totally stupid, but I mean, everyone knows this. That's the point. He's not likely to get a lot of cooperation from Congress, especially in passing any of this. For what reason? Think about it. There's a lot of Republicans representing states, or shall we say, or if they're in the House of Representatives, they're representing districts that are not likely or not highly likely to vote for Donald Trump. Or if they do, they're not going to vote for him by a very big margin. Unless, there's some act of God that finally gets Hillary indicted or something, then there's going to be a 50-state blowout. Or even without that, he could still pull off a 50-state blowout. So don't underestimate him. However, the fact is that the mandate that he thinks he has, he really doesn't have, because if the congressional leadership is not willing to pass along those funds or to enact that into law, it won't get done. And so what's going to happen in 2018? Oh, gee, all of his supporters are going to be pissed off that he didn't carry through with any of his promises. So what's going to happen? They're going to sit out the midterm election of 2018. And what happens when that happens? And what happens then? What happens to progressives? What happens to everybody else? Oh, gee, there's going to be a progressive wave. Not only in Congress, it's going to be across the country, like from state to state. Think about that. That's why. Because the Republicans are going to prove that they're so utterly incompetent about doing anything, we're going to get a Democratic Congress, we're going to see a massively Democratic or just a really massive progressive wave in 2018. Something to keep in mind. If it's Hillary Clinton that you're going to try to throw in there, I got news for you. Besides the fact that she'll get nowhere in terms of domestic policy, because the Republicans are certainly not going to agree to, they're just not going to pass anything. And then when she tries to stick the blame on them in 2018, what do you think is going to happen? Nothing. Just, it's going to blow up the Republicans' numbers. And then she has to prove that she's tougher than they are, and so she'll be starting wars left and right. Well, the Republicans will basically say, no, she's not doing it good enough, this and that, and so they'll throw her, and then they'll easily make the case for her to get thrown out in 2020. So, and 2020 is what now? A census year. And when the Republicans have control of the presidency after also holding even bigger control across the states and in Congress, what happens? Oh gee, now the Republicans will start to take the whole thing of redistricting, especially for Congress, not just for the House of Representatives, but also, for that matter, they'll enact voting laws at the federal level that will essentially take away that will simply take the vote away from the people. We're going to continue on with that perpetual warfare because the neocons are going to be back, supporting the Republicans, because Donald Trump is not at the top of the ticket. So think about that, and then it's going to be the South running the entire show again. Look, not all Southerners are knuckle draggers. Some of them are, but most of them aren't. Just like there are also knuckle draggers in other regions too. So it's like, but the point is that many parts of the South have never, are not entirely, are just incredibly pissed that white supremacy is not the law of the land, or that they can't shout, you know, racial epithets at the tops of their lungs. That's the demographic that Donald Trump is actually representing. So that's the demographic the Republicans are going to go after. And they're not going to use the peace issue. They're going to say that the Democrats don't know how to prosecute a war correctly. So guess what? They'll take it back, and then they'll have control over everything. And when they have control over everything, especially in 2020, guess what? There's going to be no chance that the Democrats will be able to get back into any levers of power, because it's going to be, they're going to try to enact Jim Crow at the OG. They're going to try to put Jim Crow into law at the federal level, or at least what they can of it, barring the 24th Amendment. Now you see what I'm saying. This is why we need to do it now, because in 2018, when that's done, the Democrats going into 2020 have more of a say if they control, especially if they control Congress. Not just the fact that they control, not just that they control Congress, it's also that they control also the majority of state governments, for that matter. So what happens? Well, when they have control of it, they're going to make sure to try to bring about some kind of racial balance within the entirety of the vote. And they're going to make sure the Democrats, to a certain extent, have a much better history of this than the Republicans do. But again, that's a whole different matter. Anyhow, sorry, I'm just trying to look something up here. Anyway, yeah. So here's a few things that I wanted to try to clear up, actually. From my previous segment, what I wanted to say was that, first of all, I know a lot of you are really fearing an election between Trump and Clinton. Look, I hear you. But don't let that paralyze you. Here's why. The fact is that if you are a liberal to progressive, or progressive for that matter, or even a conservative, you got other options other than both Trump and Hillary. There's Gary Johnson of the Libertarian Party, and there's Jill Stein of the Green Party. So you have other options. Now, if you want to try to write and burn his name, you can do that. Now, to anyone who is a self-respecting progressive, or for any of you who are just sick and tired of everything, basically going to shit, look, I hear you. And it's why we need to band together to try to end all the corruption that's going on, not just in Washington, but across the country, with both parties. Look, I know a lot of you, especially those who are, on the left side or from anywhere else, you're going to get hounded a lot saying that, and bullied into voting for Hillary Clinton, or them trying to tell you that basically we need to elect Hillary because if we have Bernie, we can't nominate Bernie because Trump. Okay, I'm going to say that right. I'm going to say this right now, or we can't go for a third party because Donald Trump. Okay. Let me clarify a couple of things here. Number one, that argument is completely and totally bogus. It's bogus for a lot of reasons. Look, even if Donald Trump does get elected, are we all going to go to hell in a handbasket? Is the sky going to fall on us? Are we going to be... Or are we going to be the victims of a government gone mad? Not at all. Look, Donald Trump, as I said before, at least for his campaign shtick, is a buffoon. I'm not saying that I want him to be president, but if I was only given the choice between him and Hillary, I would choose Trump very easily. Even if he is the complete antithesis to what I value. First of all, there's a couple of things going for Trump that a lot of the right really, really, and absolutely hates about it. Number one, he's actually less hawkish than Hillary Clinton is. Bernie Sanders, yeah, you can understand about him being a lot less hawkish than Hillary. But Donald Trump, I know, it's a little weird, but he actually is less hawkish. That's number one. And as I said before,
And Trump gets a lot of the issues. It's not like it's lost on him. It isn't. Donald Trump can tell you, basically with a straight face, that not only is the system rigged, and that Hillary is basically lying to us, that whatever Hillary says to us is basically a complete and total fabrication, of which he's going to be mostly right about. But that aside, the fact is that he could tell you with a straight face that the whole system is rigged. Not that a lot of his proposals will make that whole system a lot. Well, let me put it to you this way: not that many of his solutions are really going to resolve any of these real issues that he's bringing up. But okay, for the benefit of the doubt, let's just say that he is onto something about it. All right, that's only one part of it. The other part of it with Donald Trump is that, I mean, he's not only to the left of Hillary, like on trade deals, on foreign policy, and also with and actually, surprisingly, he's also to the left of Hillary on no, I'll look up other things that he's. Oh yeah, he actually is to the left of them, or slightly to the left of actually Hillary Clinton in terms of guns. Surprisingly, Trump's gonna say that he's against gun control. The fact is, he's actually for it. He doesn't. They don't. The NRA doesn't realize it, but they have just been conned so badly. The fact is that Donald Trump, what he does do is he scares the elites, and so they're trying to scare you into basically backing them up. I'm going to tell you this with a straight face. Don't buy the argument. Think for yourself. And think what you, and then all I'm going to say is think for yourself and vote your conscience. Don't worry about what the elites say. What they say right now, it's all noise. They're just, right now, a lot of the elites, especially what you're seeing with the mayhem going on with the Democrats at the moment, or the Republicans when they try to at least, kill Donald Trump's campaign, and they failed very badly. And the Democrats, having just been exposed for trying to quash Bernie's campaign and doing it very actively. Again, it's because their candidate, because right now they know that they can't do what their candidate, so they're trying to scare us into basically changing this, trying to change the subject and then trying to scare us into backing them up again. As I said, don't fall for it. They're panicking because they know the game is over. It doesn't matter if it's Bernie who gets nut. Now, and right now, actually, when I'm going with that, it's not going to matter at this point whether or not they nominate Bernie or if they give him the nomination or not. At this point, it's just, at this point, that's not really all that relevant. And even if he does get it, great. Then that means, I mean, it'd be great if he does get it, but but he doesn't need the nomination to know that he's actually won. We don't need to see him get the nomination to know that we won the argument. We exposed them.
They're panicking. Not us. They are. Because their message is not resonating anymore. So whether it's Bernie Sanders blowing out Donald Trump by about 10 points or more, or if it's Donald Trump about to blow out Hillary Clinton, again, by double digits. I think it's going to, if it is going to be a Trump-Hillary campaign, people are going to be backing up Trump. I can see the writing on the wall right now. Look, independents, or shall we, or as we like to call them here in California, the no party preference crowd. I want to share a quick figure with you. Hillary Clinton has the support of only 28% of all independent voters. Or shall we say that so basically she has about roughly 30% of all independents. What does Donald Trump have? He has exactly 40%, a third larger or shall we say that Hillary Clinton has only about 75% of what Donald Trump has in terms of independence. Think about that. If she's losing independents by 10 to 12 points, that's a big indication that Donald Trump is going to win, and he's going to win by a big margin if, or shall we say, when the Democrats field her. The fact is, we have Jill Stein, and she's been getting a lot of support, especially from a lot of us on the left. Now, what does this mean for the Democratic Party? When they lose, and I'm saying a massively blown out loss, and a massive blowout loss in November. What does that mean for them? Well, it's going to mean a few things. Number one, they're not going to have the backing from anybody for at least a generation. They understand now that and also what's going to happen now is that they're going to have to do a lot of restructuring. That means that they're going to have to throw away any and all corporate funding. It's going to mean a lot of changes, but that will never happen unless they get trounced. Also, I want to say something else. I know a lot of you are going to be telling me that, or basically from some time back, that to elect Bernie Sanders is to repeat the fiasco of 1972. I beg to differ. And I can tell you that for a lot of reasons. Well, actually, I'll break it down to actually a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm not saying this to brag. I'm a graduate. I graduated San Francisco State University with a degree in history. So, you might actually find this a little interesting. No, not the part about me being a history major, but what I'm about to tell you. The real parallel to what's going on now in 2016, you have to look back not to 1972, but to the cycle before that, 1968. I know. Y'all are thinking, how is this even parallel to 1968? Okay, let me answer this in a couple of ways. Look at the dynamics. The dynamics of 2016, just like in 1968, was an electorate thirsting and clamoring for change. And since the previous administration had basically shot all of their credibility, they needed to get somebody else in there. That's what we're going through right now. Now, in terms of it being as divisive as it is, let me say something about all of that. The fact is that with the dynamics between now and 2016 actually also being the same thing. In my last video, and I'll definitely put the link in the description, there is an interview of Dan Rather on MSNBC. He explains, I would say, in pretty clear detail about how that is the case. I would encourage you to watch it. And also, if you also want to see another thing, I would also encourage you to go to Jimmy Dore's channel. Jimmy Dore of the Young Turks. Well, actually, there was a clip that he actually got from Fusion. Actually, I got the clip from Fusion, actually. I think right in the description of my last video, and I'll put it in this one. It was an interview by Jorge Ramos with Ralph Nader. That's right, the same guy that purportedly stole the election away from Al Gore in 2000, at least at the turn of the millennium. I would beg to differ, but I'm not going to get into a historical debate about that. That's not exactly the point that I'm trying to make, actually. The point I'm trying to make is that Bernie Sanders, when he actually endorsed Hillary Clinton. Now, I know what you all are... Now, I know. Again, that old thing about him being a sellout and such. Look, I went over that. I know I went over that quite a while back. But I'll say it again. Yeah, I know. I hear your frustration if you didn't... That is, if you actually didn't hear what I had said earlier. It's okay. Look, I'm fine with it.
I don't mind repeating things if I have to. Anyway, not the point. The point actually that I'm saying is that Ralph Nader made a very good point in saying that Bernie Sanders, when he did endorse Hillary Clinton, he set her up to betray all of us. Subconsciously, because he's not salivating over her, he's not fawning over her and such. You know that Hillary is not going to bother to pass any of the damn concessions that she made to Bernie Sanders and his supporters. We all know that. We're not stupid. We all know that she's going to basically say, okay, our new party platform is the Republicans' platform. You're going to see her do that. It's just, and it's not just on foreign policy. It's on domestic policy too. This is why Hillary is way too dangerous to be president. I mean, ask yourselves, how badly do you want the same people that advised George W. Bush to invade Iraq back in the levers of power close enough to advise Hillary Clinton to pull off a no-fly zone in Syria? Or to put a no-fly zone, I don't know, even a special, let's say for argument's sake, in Russia. Which I'm pretty sure she's going to want to do. Because if Putin doesn't yield to Hillary's will, oh gee, we're going to lob one at him. You know, lob one as in launch a missile targeting the men's bathroom in the Kremlin. That's what I'm talking about with Hillary Clinton. And yeah, she is literally that insane. She's not stupid, but she is vindictive. And vindictivity is not a trait to keep when you are dealing with the international arena. It's just that is the absolute start of World War III. Does this mean that I think that Donald Trump will be much better when it comes to dealing with Putin? Not entirely, because, again, Donald Trump understands that we need a different approach when it comes to maintaining relations with the Russians. He gets it. And he gets the fact that Putin is in kind of a tough jam himself. And Bernie Sanders also understands that too. But it's not that Vladimir Putin is an evil guy. He's not. Does he have a few screws loose, or do people think he has a few screws loose? Of course they do. But the question I have is, who doesn't think that a politician has a few screws loose? I mean, come on. So, to conclude, I would encourage you to go to my blog. I would also encourage you to understand and actually read why I'm saying that, at least in the couple of posts that I had from my blog, about why Hillary Clinton is basically a repeat of 1968. I would encourage you to read it. I'm going to post all them in the description. And I'm going to say, without much else, that this is Jgsf1987. Thanks for watching, and I am out.